Hi everybody, I am going to take you through how to collect your rock cycle journey storyboard details using the rock cycle Gizmos site. So we're going to collect our basic storyline and then you're going to add in more details for the final product on storyboard that. First want to show you the Canvas links. We have a whole bunch of stuff for this project, including the login to the actual website, the storyboard that website. Here is a how-to tutorial video. Here is a rubric. You'll need to check that out. It's a 30-point project. This is a video version of what we're going to produce. This is a nice little handy rock cycle diagram in case you need help, visualizing things. And then here is where you will submit your actual storyboard. When it is completely done, you will download it as a PDF and you will submit it here on Canvas. Okay. So you're going to collect something I haven't added to this list yet that will be there. When I'm making this video, I have not yet done this, but it will be there when it's time for you to see it. So this is the paper where you're going to collect the details for your storyboard. And you're going to use your rock cycle gizmo. All right, so the gizmo, the username and password has been changed since the first time we used it. So we're going to be using a different username and password, and we're going to need to make sure we write that down somewhere or we save the email that I had sent. Okay, so I'm going to launch the gizmo, and basically this is how you're going to get your story. You actually, it's kind of like choose your own adventure. You actually get to kind of determine where you go. You do have to include at least 2 out of the 3 rock types though. So you can't just go like back and forth and back and forth. You don't want a repetitive story. You want it to be, even though in real life that is sometimes what happens to rocks, I need you to at least describe the processes leading up to 2 of the 3 types of rocks, either igneous, metamorphic, or sedimentary. Okay. So you get to pick where you want to start. Do you want to be magma? Do you want to be an igneous rock? Do you want to be sedimentary, metamorphic? You could start as a tiny sediment or you could be in the soil. You get to pick. Okay, so I'm going to start as magma. And then basically, and it gives you some little facts up here, but you are, molten rock and you are beginning your journey as magma. So I am going to write that in there. Okay. Then you get to pick, are you going to cool above ground or below ground? Oops, wrong tab. So if you're crystallizing below ground, that often happens much slower. If you're crystallizing above ground, of course, the volcano is erupting. So these are all details that you would add into your story. So if I click above ground, I'm going to go back. What happened was I cooled to form an extrusive igneous rock. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure that, so then I get to decide what happens next. We have our extrusive igneous rock, and then, are you going to get exposed to the agents of weathering because you remain above ground, or are you going to start getting buried deeper inside Earth? So let's say we are undergoing weathering. So basically, my next step here was weathering occurred. And it's kind of giving you some stuff up here. So you know that when you're getting weathered, you're getting exposed to rain, ice, or gravity or anything like that that's breaking you down. So you can talk about this in your story, and you're going to want to tell me what is weathering. So when you're getting weathered, you're basically getting broken down into smaller particles. So you're changing from rock into now sediments, okay? Or you could be in the soil at that point. So weathering occurred, and I broke down into sediments, okay? From that point, these sediments are going to get eroded and deposited somewhere. So erosion is the process that moves sediments. Deposition, they kind of get dropped off. You can kind of see like this rain could move these sediments in the soil to the bottom and get dropped and moves them downhill, and they get dropped off into this water, and then they start to settle. So erosion and deposition are happening, and then I'm going to talk about that in my story. Sediments went through erosion and deposition. Now, when I write this out in storyboard, I am going to get into way more detail. This is just the basic story. Okay, you are going to like add in like what is erosion, what is deposition, and all the processes. You're going to really elaborate on them and make it into an interesting creative story. So I went through erosion and deposition. And then you could say, well, I got deposited here on the bottom of this ocean floor. And then, whenever sediments get deposited somewhere, they start accumulating in layers and then they get compacted together. Compaction is the squeezing, and then they get cemented. So they're using the word lithification. It's the same thing. It's kind of like the gluing process that holds the rock together. Okay, so then I am going to the sediments compacted and cemented together. Now we know that that forms sedimentary rock. Okay, so here I go. Sediments are settling. So over the millions of years, this doesn't happen overnight. These sediments get squeezed and glued together to form a sedimentary rock. Alrighty, so now you're a little bit more buried underground. So now we could, from there, are we going to melt? Are we going to get uplifted to the surface and go through more weathering again? Or are we going to get buried deeper and increase temperature and pressure? So let me do that. So that sedimentary rock went through heat and pressure, changing into a metamorphic rock. Oopsie. Okay, so you get the idea. You need at least 2 out of the 3 rock types. So actually, I've already gotten 3. I was igneous, and then I broke down into sediments, and then I became sedimentary, and then that sedimentary got buried deeper and deeper to form a metamorphic. All right, again, you're just going to keep going until you have 12 detailed steps, basically. So at this point, let's say I'm metamorphic. What happens? I might melt again, and now I might cool below ground. And then I'm becoming an intrusive igneous rock, et cetera, okay? Now, what you notice then, after you go through this for a while, you click on this path, and it's actually like giving you like the steps of what happened to you, the basic stuff though, all right? But you'll need to take these details and you will need to make them way more detailed. Defining the rock types, defining the processes, making sure you're not messing anything up or mixing, or I should say missing steps along the way. You want to make sure you're being as detailed as possible and at the same time adding in your creative side. All right. So you'll continue on the Gizmo until you have 12 steps. And then you'll go from there and start creating your storyboard. What you could even do is you could use this document to then continue to type more of your actual story. Like once you finish getting the basic steps, this could then be your rough draft. So keep adding. It's not, add in the definitions, like what is magma? What is an extrusive igneous rock? In this case, if I'm coming out of the ground, I was in a volcano. So you got to tie that into your story. So you could actually add in more details in this basic story and consider that really like a rough draft. And then you're just going to transfer that to your storyboard. Alrighty, so I hope this helps, and we're really looking forward to seeing your awesome storyboard journeys. I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit of a creative side. It's not something I typically get to see. Please let us know if you have any questions, and again, we look forward to reading your stories.